Isn't it? Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the All In Football Podcast with me, Scott. I'm sliding down the table at a rapid pace, Williams, and Barry. Barry, where in the world is Barry?
I'm in Romford, well, it's about as good as it is, really, to be honest. There's no exciting here apart from the Romford Perlo. Ray Parlour was born here, one of the Invincibles. So hopefully, me and you can be invincible all the way through to the end of the FPL. Will be nice. All green hours all the way.
That'd be nice. Fun facts about Ray Parlour. I saw him at water park in Portugal many years ago, and yeah, he was enjoying a lovely day with his family. So there we go. And Romford, home to Kez from Love Island.
Huh?
If you know, you know. But
Interesting.
yeah, anyone that knows me and Baz running a podcast, it goes swimmingly well. So yeah, Alex is away today doing what he does. But yeah, if you're enjoying, give us a follow on all things social media. Got to try and remember what they are. All in Football P, I believe, on Twitter. X is now All in Football Pod, I believe, on YouTube, Spotify, and TikTok. Do something on that. I think Alex is going to do some dances. So yeah, go for it on there. I'll talk us through manager of the week if you want, Baz.
Yeah, go on.
Go for it. So the person who got manager of the week is certainly the person with by far the best name out of anyone in the All In Fantasy Football League, Charles Takaveda. What a name! He sounds like a superhero. So Charles, 74 points this week. He did take a -8 though. Free transfers in for a -8, and he did do his bench boost. So for podcast listeners, he had Muric in goal for 2, Keane for 1, and FaZe for 2. Gvardiol, you lucky Man City owners, 7 points there, obviously scoring for City in their loss, which we'll touch on in a moment. Captain of Salah, so very respectable 18 points, decent return for Mo. Johnson, solid 8 points. Buonate, 1, and Wamo 3. Danny Welbeck still doing the business. Nice assist for Welbeck for 5. Havertz with disappointing 1, and Haaland disappointing 2. However, majority of his big points came from his bench. So bench boost played. Verbruggen with 3. Savio didn't play, so he got 0 points. But then he's doubled up at the back with his Nottingham Forest defenders. Murillo, 6 points with a solid clean sheet, but Aina, 15 points, 1 goal. What a brilliant season he's having and Forest having. Special shout out as well. There was a couple of 73s in there. I'm going to try and remember who they were quickly off the cup. Jack Alcroft, friend of the podcast. However, -12 taken by Jack, but again, another bench boost played there. So fair few people, a couple of people there seeing this week is a decent week for a bench boost. We never mentioned it. Again, feed that back to Alex. And then a really good and another 73 points, but again, another chip played for who was that? Scott, did I say his name was?
Yeah, Scott Bell.
Scott Bell, yeah. So yeah, free hit played this week. So again, a very interesting chip, but it's returning some really decent points there. Alex Moreno and Ramsdale in goal. I mean, Ramsdale, who would have thought Southampton keeper would be racking up 9 points, but yeah, fair play. And yeah, Isaac seems like he's getting a bit back to his former self from last season. So yeah, there we go. So as always, thanks for your participation in the league, and yeah, give me a wave when you go past me in the league. But yeah, over to you, Baz, for our first subject of the day.
So first subject, as you touched upon, we're going to talk about Man City, what we do with the assets, and also what's actually happening at City. Lost 3 games, that's twice now that's happened under Pep. And just want to know, obviously, what our thoughts are. So we'll explain why that might be and what to do with Haaland. Potentially might be going down again in price. Tonight, so obviously it will be whenever you listen to it, so it probably will be already down already. But yeah, find out who might want to replace Haaland or what to do with Foden. Is it worth keeping the defence and go from there really? So what do you reckon's happening with Man City, Scott? What's happening with him?
Well, I think what's happened is the best player in the world, which is a fact now, is on the sideline. So they're clearly missing Rodri. Clearly missing that link between the defense and the attack, that anchor point in the middle of the field there. Not only is Rodri great at retaining the ball, winning the ball back, being that extra layer of defense in front of that, the Gvardiol, Edison, etc. His balls are really pivotal. So we're not seeing a lot of Haaland running through, getting on the end of balls at the moment. So little laugh for that. Just realised what I said. It's all going to pot already, isn't it? So we ain't got Alex keeping the
It's
straight and
potting.
narrow. But yeah, so I feel like Rodri's pivotal at that. But what I would say on that, obviously Rodri's out for probably the whole season. They have got a certain Kevin De Bruyne that's now back in contention. Now we saw what KDB and Haaland were doing at the start of the season. We get a KDB fit and firing again. I feel like Haaland could be turning this fortune round. But yeah, the human, it's just a bad run. We've said all season they've not been the best defensively. If Rico Lewis wanted in my squad from the word go, I didn't get him at 4.5 million, I wouldn't really have a Man City defender in. You kind of just got to be right. So defender will probably return for a goal or an assist. You've got to just get lucky on that. So yeah, just going through a bit of bad form. Don't know. I didn't see the game last night. I was too busy watching my own team lose. Because one of our players ran into the ref and the ref blocked the ball and they went and scored. Anyway, won't get into that. Babs, did you see any of the game last night for City? What was it like?
Well, strange enough, I was actually watching my team, absolute batter Watford. So shame I wasn't in Watford tonight. We were repping the Swansea shirt. But yeah, probably would have got abused maybe. So I've seen some of the highlights, and Man City first half absolute dominated. I think they had something like 20 shots or something like that in the first half, and Ireland could have had 5, and they could have been out of sight. So it's not the creativity; it's just they're not. I don't know if they're not clicking right, and they're not taking the chances. But for me, I'd be keeping Haaland just for the fact that he's missing these chances, and we know he's going to start banging these in, and he's going to get 3, maybe 4, maybe even 5 goals in the game. So for me, I'm definitely keeping him. We're going to probably keep him all season just for the fear factor. It's Haaland. Um, but for me, I think it might be down to obviously Pep has undecided what he's doing in the future. So the players might just be like, oh, well, I don't know, to eat into his philosophy and all this. So that might have something on the player's mind, maybe. Foden's out of sorts as well. Gundogan doesn't look his self, obviously, before he went to Barca. He's looked at like Barca's gone backwards or age is creeping up on him. Obviously, Walker's out in and out of the team, but obviously he's becoming back. So Lewis asset might be a bit of a struggle. So I'll probably be looking at getting rid of him soon. So yes, for me, I just think it's just a blip. And last season they had the blip round this time, and look what happened after that. They just went up, just romped it home or Romford at home.
Yeah, I think you've got to look at the 3 games as well. He said obviously they lost 3 games in a row. One of them was in the League Cup against the full strength Spurs team. Fully expected Spurs to go for that and put a full strength team out, which Ange did. Obviously, he always wins a trophy in his second season, so that didn't come as much of a surprise. I think for anyone that plays Super Six, I had a Spurs win down for my Super Six that game. The Champions League was an interesting one, like you say. City could have been out of sight by the sounds of it. First half, Haaland missed a penalty as well, didn't they? Of course.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was always going to be a bit of a weird game with it being Almiron's last game. And they're obviously going to the
His
the
last home
better
game, yeah.
rivals. Yeah, so obviously he was going to have them fired up and everything like that. They clearly love him. And yeah, so the other game being the Bournemouth 2-1 away. Watch the game. Watch the highlights. Didn't look great. Bournemouth looked really, really good. But you've also got to take into effect the games beforehand. Scraping through a 1-0 win against Southampton at home.
Mm.
A really lucky late Wolves win 2-1. And then a really lucky, you'd have to say, 3-2 win against Fulham. A Fulham team that played very, very well. Then you got a couple of draws against Arsenal, Newcastle, and then you had the start of the season with the 4 wins. So actually, they've been fairly lucky actually to be where they are in the league. And I just think they're missing Rodri. Without Rodri and KDB in there, it's clearly been a big miss. Kovacic has come in and done fairly well in certain games, but they're clearly missing that. And I don't think they're getting enough from Doku and Savio. They look really good, but they're just not providing that end product either.
They're like
So,
at Tiore 2.0,
yeah,
aren't
yeah, they are. And you look at years gone by, you had Riyad Mahrez. He did have the end product. He looked good, but he also could
they?
score goals. I don't think Doku and Savio returning. I have bloody Doku in my differential team most weeks, and he's always whipping me a 2-pointer out the bag. So I don't think they're doing enough. But like you say, there's obviously been a lot of debating about Haaland. Do we get rid of him? Do we keep him? I agree with Baz. I agree with you. Like, we've never had a player like Haaland in the Premier League. He's just what he's done, like a goal a game, it's just never been done. So the guy can turn around and, like you say, get 5 goals tomorrow. The fixtures aren't great, but you're playing against the Brighton away team. Brighton are leaky. Like, they can concede many, many goals the way they play the football, exciting stuff. And then you've got Spurs at home. Basically just copy and paste what I've just said about Brighton, really. And then obviously you've got a tricky one, that's Liverpool away, and you have to say Forest at home is tricky now. But for me, there's no one. This season we don't have a Cristiano Ronaldo, we don't have an informed Lukaku, we don't have an Harry Kane. There's no other massive striker that you can go, do you know what? I want him. You've not. If you had Watkins and Isaac both doing the business consistently, you'd go, actually, do you know what? I'd rather have Watkins and Isaac, but they're not really. Watkins had a little run. Now he's off it again. Isaac's come back. So for me at the minute, there's no one screaming at me to say you must invest in 2 mid-priced attackers. So for me, it's a hold, and especially with KDB back in the fold.
Yeah, and you've also got to look at the budget strikers as well that's available. Chris Wood's just caught flames, and Welbeck keeps returning. So
Yep.
if we've got them two as well as Haaland, then you'd be laughing. A couple of pods ago, I shared obviously the team of the season, and them 3 strikers were in it. So if you can afford, you can easily probably afford them and have probably Salah as well. So
Yep.
yeah, so it's good on that front. So we touched about Amarin. So let's talk about Man United. So they've got 3 good fixtures coming up: Leicester at home, Ipswich away, and Everton at home. So on paper, you'd say probably 9 points for Man United. Obviously, Rude, obviously taking charge of the Leicester home game for his last game, so there'll be obviously a big occasion for that. And then Ipswich away, obviously Amarin's first game, and then obviously his first home game against Everton at home. So you'd like to think on paper it'd be 9 points, but it's Man United. You don't know who's going to turn up. Is Bruno back? So yeah, there's a lot of complications with Man U, and we don't know. Should we back the defence? Is Bruno back? Rashford just is a no go for me. But what's your thoughts on Man U assets and Amarin coming in?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a tricky one because you don't know how Amarin's going to set up. You can look at his Sporting Lisbon team and go, actually, he's going to set up like that. So therefore, I can gamble on. Is he? I believe he has plays 3 at the back, 3 centre
Yeah,
backs.
plays 3-4-3.
Yeah, yeah. There you go. So you can kind of guess like, okay, so potentially another centre back in there. But you know what Man United's problem was with centre backs has been over the last few years. None of them are fit. So actually, for me, looking at that Man United team, Bruno's coming back to sort of the form he was in. But I would say one player that caught my eye when I watched the game against Chelsea would be Garnacho. Um, Still only 6.3 million. I know a lot of people like myself had him in at the start of the season. He kind of was in and out of the team a little bit at the beginning. He's played every minute in the last 6 games in the league. 10 points return against Brentford, 2 against West Ham, and 2 against Chelsea. But as we like to say, the eye test, he looks good. He looks exciting. So at 6.3 million for me, I'm not investing a lot of money in Man United players. I'm not going to be investing in Bruno's too much. There's better options out there. I don't really want to touch the defense too much at the minute. I know they're not conceding a lot, but they are still conceding. And you only need 1 goal to kill your clean sheet. That's right, Michael Owen comment that, isn't it? But
It is,
in the
mate.
last,
That's it.
yeah,
Same.
yeah. But if you look at it in the last, one, two, three, four, five. In the last 5 games, they've only kept one clean sheet, and that was at Villa, and I'm pretty sure they got peppered a little bit in that game. So I wouldn't be touching the defensive assets because not a lot of them are not enough of them are offering options going forward as well. So for me, there's only one player that kind of sticks out a little bit, and I would say that is Garnacho.
Yeah, so would you look at if you've got a Foden, for example, like me, I wild carded Foden in, would you go save the money and just go, right, Foden to Garnacho?
Yeah, I would because City's fixtures on paper are a lot tougher than Man United fixtures as well, and you've always got that rotation risk. Like we mentioned, I know it's not a like for like replacement, but Kevin De Bruyne is back in the mix, so that's another player that can come into the team. So I would actually go Garnacho over Foden. Even though Foden has been sniffing a bit more recently, he's just I don't know, he just seems to not fancy him too much in the league. So yeah, I would personally, but he did score last night, didn't he? I suppose.
Yeah. So I like obviously the Garnacho pick, but it's one of them like Fernandez. We know what he can do. Obviously last season he obviously was one of Man United's best players. So it's a tricky one on that. It's like, do you gamble and go for a Bruno Fernandez, or would you just Garnacho? I think probably safer bet would probably be like you say Garnacho, and you're saving money in the bank to upgrade maybe one of the other midfielders to another premium and have 3 or 4 potential premiums. So it's difficult on that. Like obviously 10 points though, obviously you scored a penalty, but the problem you've got is Amarin doesn't really have an attacking midfielder. So that's the only thing where I'm thinking, is he going to play wide left or wide right? But he's not, because obviously he's got Rashford and Garnacho. So it's difficult on that. And for me, that's probably why I wouldn't go for Bruno. But obviously it's one of them, like I wouldn't go against it if someone did it. But for me personally, I'll probably have to agree and say Garnacho's the one on that front. Striker wise,
I think it's worth rolling the dice. We've seen it so many times with new managers coming into clubs. They hit the ground running. So I think it's worth I think now is the time, especially with those fixtures, to look at getting a Garnacho in.
yeah, 100%. Thoughts on Hoyland then? Obviously, he won the penalty. Is he gonna catch flames? Is he gonna be the new Gokrias at under Amion? What you reckon on that? Is it worth the gamble?
I think no. I think his price point for me at 6.9, going back to what you said a moment ago, Chris Wood's just waiting for him to just stop scoring. It's clearly not happening. Forest have been super impressive this season. Danny Welbeck returning. And let's be honest, in a team which creates chances in Brighton, you've got your Haaland, people have got Watkins, Isaac's coming back into the mix now. So I don't think Hoyland's done enough. What I would say is probably one to keep an eye on. He's pretty much Man United's go-to option up front. Xerxes not looked anything for me at the moment. And I really like Rasmus Højlund. I like his mentality. I like the fact that he works his bollocks off, and just gives it all for the badge really. So again, I wouldn't be getting 2 Man United players in, but if you're looking at your midfield and going, do you know what, that's all right, and you may be looking at your strikers and going, oh, Watkins hasn't done much or this. I don't mind a little Højlund in there. I quite like one Man United attacking option as a bit of a gamble, a semi gamble.
Yeah, plus obviously with Man United stats as well, don't score goals. So you don't want to be like wasting two attacking options with them. And obviously, as we know, I think Garnacho is the top goal scorer. So it's one of them. I do like obviously the punt. If, for example, you're wild card in next week, or you've still got your wild card and you want to dead end your team for like 2-3 weeks or something, then why not go for a Hoyland maybe just to mix it up, as it'd be a big differential at 1.4, because afraid he's a bit more higher bracket than Wood and also Wieser as well, that we'll touch upon in a second as well, and also Welbeck. So yeah, so for me, I think if you want to punt, why not give Hoyland a go? So as I mentioned about Brentford, I could tell you probably all their players, because I do like Brentford, even though they beat us in the playoff final. But the players that they've got, Um, Defensively is not great because unless obviously you're on Flecken and you was like, yes, he's going to get a clean sheet, and then my boy Harry Wilson steps up and does the business. So unfortunately, sorry of them Flecken owners. I think
Me.
you're yeah, I'm gonna say you're one of them.
Yeah.
So yeah, so well, I'm not actually apologising because I want to catch you up. So yeah, so Brentford, anyone to target apart from Mbumo and Wisa?
For me, they're the standout. I've got them both in. Obviously, I gambled on these a couple of weeks ago, and I won't stop moaning. He got 2 goals, but whatever, and he got credited to one. And Buomo, I think, is a no-brainer. Everything comes through him. His returns. He must be one of the top scoring players just in FPL this season. He's looked fantastic. What I would say is I've watched the first half of the game on Monday night against Fulham, and it was definitely the worst I've seen Brentford play. They were anyone that just saw the scoreline at half time might be thinking, what the hell are you on about? They were 1-0 up. Yes, it was a worldy goal from Damsgaard, was it?
No, you know.
Yeah, no. So, yeah, other than that, they didn't really offer a lot in that game. But saying that, they have done in a lot of the games this season. For me and Buomo in there, I think Vissa is still a decent shout at 6 million. Damsgaard has looked all right, but like you said, I'm not touching the defence, and I don't really want to look too far out. There's no one that I've looked at from like a winger point of view and gone, do you know what, they're catching my eye. So it would just be them two for me.
Yeah, I have to probably agree with you. The one, I love a crazy shout. So he has been looking really good at this moment of time is Lewis Potter. Um, he's in and around the box. His points are not really materialising his play. He's catching my eye. He's got 2 assists in the last four games. So um, yeah, he's averaging like assist, then blank, assist, blank, assist, blank. So he's going to assist next game. Yeah, I think he'd be worth one, and also he's a very good differential and all, like 0.1% owned. I'm Mr. Differential, so I love a crazy shout. So for me, I think Lewis Potter might be worth a little gamble on that, especially with the fixtures they've got. They've got Bournemouth at home, but they're no mugs. Everton away, getting more solid now in defence, so could be a bit trickier than what most people think. And Leicester at home, so very good fixtures going forward for Brentford. So for me, Lewis Potter will be a good shout for a differential, but the main two, as Scott mentioned, was Wisa and Mbumo. Um, so Wolves. What do we reckon? Gary O'Neill's he going to turn the corner and get a win, or is he just basically a sinking ship and he's going to get sacked soon with Lopetegui? What do you reckon on that, and who to get from?
Yeah, it's an interesting one, Wolves. I'm not, you know, Gary O'Neill's annoyed me a lot. I've said it a few times on the podcast with his moaning, but I will have to say, like, they've been quite unlucky the past few weeks. I've already alluded to the Man City loss. That was super unlucky. They played really, really well in that game. The Brighton draw as well, away at Brighton. They came, so that was a great fight back from Wolves. Came back from 2-0 down to get a point. So I thought, you know what, momentum's on the side now. Must win against Palace at home. Must win. I was thinking if it was Monday night. What Monday night football was it? It was on TV. It was Sunday or whenever, and I was thinking this is a must win for him. And they just didn't turn up. They did all right, but I was probably
Saturday
more
night one
impressed.
against Palace?
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, it was. I was more impressed by Palace, to be fair. But you can't look away from the fixtures they've got. Southampton at home, Fulham away. Fulham looking really good though again this season, but then Bournemouth at home, Everton. So they have got some really decent fixtures coming up. I think a lot of people like me would have jumped on the 8 Nuri train. I think it's. Do you know what? After watching the game, last couple of games as well, he's apparently a defender. He don't play defense. Like he's like centre forward half the time.
Yeah, I
So
agree.
he's just always sniffing around for attacking returns. So he's gonna get a goal again in the next few weeks. He's gonna get an assist. So and you never know. They should be looking at keeping at least one clean sheet in that run of fixtures. So 8-0 for me is a no-brainer. He's still 4.7 million. It's he's one that I feel like you need to get in your team. Other than him, I wouldn't be looking too far at any of them at this moment in time. Cunha's returned okay, and he's probably looked the sharpest out of them all. But I personally think there's better attacking options out there. But he would probably be the second one. I would. It's. I feel like on the eye and watching, Cunha's a lot more exciting to watch than Strand Larson. I think Strand Larson because he's that kind of hold up striker. He's a big lad. He's strong. But
Haaland from Wish.
Yeah, exactly. But for 1.1 million cheaper and a similar sort of returns, you've probably got to go Strand Larson if you're getting a striker in from Wolves. But I feel like if I had the money, if I'm sat there and I've done my change and I've still got 1.5 million, I would probably still go over Cunha over him. So I feel like he's got, as Alex likes to say, a higher ceiling.
Yeah, I have to agree on the Cunha shout. He has got a higher ceiling than him. Like I had the debate of Ndai, Lawson, or Cunha this week, and obviously both the Wolves assets performed, and Ndai was just awful. Everton was just awful, to be honest. And yeah, I lost that coin flip because I had obviously Henderson in goal, and I thought I don't want to do that because obviously he's counteracting as we do in the differential draft. Usually, if we pick a goalkeeper or a defender, we don't usually pick a forward who's up against them. So unless obviously we totally forget and you're stuck with like an under one and you've only got one keeper to pick. But yeah, I think that's it really. The midfielders, there's no one really there that's standing out. So I wouldn't even look at that. Maybe Lamina or João Gomez, but that's only if you've got probably gambling problems on that front, really. Because there's other players around that potential bracket that are probably better. I'd rather have probably Dibbling from Southampton more than them pair. Even though Dibbling's been in and out of the team recently. Aït-Nouri, the only problem with him, if you're bringing him in now, he's on 4 bookings. So just be wary of that.
I was about to really impress you because I have the bookings on my screen. So I was gonna be like, oh,
He's
he
done
got
some
there. Just
research.
same as João Gomez. If anyone's got gambling problems, I want to bring him in. He's also on 4
Yeah.
bookings.
So Aït-Nouri, as Scott mentioned, he's like near enough a second striker from left back. Yeah, he'd be good, but the only problem is you've got to be wary that he's got potentially one booking away for a suspension. Hopefully it'll be the next Fulham away and he gets booked against Southampton, and then obviously it's not too bad because you're probably not going to start him against Fulham away because Fulham look quite tasty going forward, especially with Harry Wilson coming off the bench. Goalkeeper issue, Saar at 4.3 could be a potential option to get save points there. But obviously, is he going to favour Johnson again? That is debatable on that front regarding Wolves. But are you going to touch a Wolves goalkeeper? Probably not, unless you want to obviously save some money and invest otherwise. But then you're looking at probably Fabianski at West Ham, 4 million. He was potentially saving money, and it looks like he had a good game against Forest, even though he conceded 3. He made 3 or 4 good saves. Now, whilst we're on Wolves, did you see the game? You did, didn't you, Scott?
Yep.
What do you reckon to the Mateta disallowed goal at the end?
Remind me again. I did watch the game.
So Saar saved it. I think one of the Palace players bundles in. I think Muniz bundles into Saar. He's got ball there on his hand, but he's not in really control of it. Hand on the ball, and the ball's on the floor. Comes loose, and Mateta taps it in.
Yeah. I thought that was a goal. I didn't see a lot wrong with that, to be completely honest with you. So I thought that was really harsh. Protection to the keeper, I think, again there. But yeah, I think rightly so that Glasnich was absolutely raging on that one. But yeah, I thought that was a goal.
Yeah, looking at obviously Joe Hart explained it quite well on Match of the Day, to be honest, about in the letter of the law, he's obviously hand on the ball and it's on the floor, so that means it's under control, but me and you, and also Joe Hart, who's obviously, well, Joe Hart's played obviously in goal and at elite level, but whoever's played at a decent level would know that's not really under control. He's not. It's not close to him. He's outstretched. Yeah, for me, it's a goal. Fixtures then. So fixtures going into the week. So we've got Brentford at home against Bournemouth. I think that'll be a nice, tasty tie. Palace at home against Fulham, another London derby for Fulham. West Ham versus Everton. Is that a must-win for Lopetegui? What
Yeah,
do you think on that?
I think he's gone. I think this is such a big game because, like we said, it's before the pod, it's an international break after these fixtures, so you kind of want to. If you're thinking about sacking the manager, this is the time to do it. You're going to get the manager in, get them in the door, get them training with the boys, and give them a bit of time. But yeah, for me, must win.
Yeah. Wolves Southampton. They're all three
Copy and
o'clock.
paste.
They're all
Copy
three
and
o'clock.
paste what I just said there.
Yeah, all 3 o'clock kickoffs, no early kickoff. Deadline is at 1:30. Brighton Man City, I think that's going to be a good game as well. End-to-end stuff, bit of a basketball game in my eyes. Liverpool Villa, I think that'd be more of a cagey affair, especially with they'll be playing midweek in Champions League, and also Villa. I think Villa's just lost 1-0 to a calamity of from Mings, done a Gabriel against Bayern Munich. If you haven't seen it, watch it. It's quite funny.
His first game back, he's clearly forgot the rules.
Yeah, he probably has been doing a bit of handball in rehab, maybe. Sunday, early kickoff. We've got Man U Leicester, as we touched upon on that one. Maybe Man United assets to look upon. Forest Newcastle, I think that'd be an interesting game. Who would have thought that? Looking at start of the season. Spurs Ipswich, there you are, your 2 o'clocks, and Chelsea Arsenal. Captain picks. What do you reckon?
Captain picks. Oh, I think that's quite a tough week this week. You Man City game's obviously tough. We've said they're out of form, so it's tough to stick that on a Man City asset. Liverpool looking really good. Obviously, they had a brilliant win against a team that basically won nearly everything last season in Leverkusen. Brilliant 4-0 win last night. Man United, I feel like that could be a shout, but again, that could be too much of a gamble because they haven't done a lot. But Rude's got them scoring goals. Newcastle, I've looked a bit more solid at the back, I would say, the last few games. I'd say a couple of weeks ago, Chris Wood would be an absolute an absolute option as an asset there. Last week it was Wood versus Haaland on the pod, and I was right. I knew Wood would be a good option. Spurs, probably, if you've got any Spurs assets, that could be good. Most people, if you had Solanke, you probably wouldn't be selling them. What a stupid thing to do. Why would you sell Solanke? Sorry, Baz. But yeah, Solanke's on form, so he looks like he could be a good option. But I like having maybe a Solanke as your captain if you've got him. If you haven't, I don't think Salah's a bad option either. Maybe a Brentford asset. It's a tough week though.
Yeah, it is a tough week. I've seen a few people mentioning Cunha as the captain. So that's obviously potentially a good shout. You know, he's going to be in and amongst it with Wolves. Everything goes through him. You could even have a crazy shout and have Ignore as well, maybe as a captain.
What I'd say, just to back Southampton a little bit though, they only conceded one against City and they kept a clean sheet last game. So I don't think they've clearly
I think
shored it up.
the City one was about out of context. I think it could have been 7. Haaland missed quite a few, and we talked about the XG and Alex's triple captain on Haaland as well when he had high XG. So it's the curse of the guru again. So for me, I think Wolves asset might be good. Maybe even a Larson, Cunha, or an eight Nori if you really want to go for that differential captain. I think Man United one's a good shout. I think Garnacho, maybe. The only problem is it's Man United. If you don't know what Man United is going to turn up, and they only scored one against Chelsea, but it was against Chelsea, but it was one of them. They were a bit, oh no, you attacked a bit tentative. There were no one really going at it. But Chris Wood's a good shout actually against his old club. I do like that one. And same against Spurs. Maybe my boy Johnson might be a good differential captain as well. So yeah. So regarding that, I think that's about it on captaincies. And yeah.
One thing I'll just to mention, because a lot of people got Morgan Rogers in the team. He is flagged, but he's also played today in the Champions League. So as long as he's got through that game fine, he'll be fine to play. Tough issue though with Liverpool.
Yeah. So yeah, so with that, don't forget to give us a like. Would be appreciated. Subscribe if you like the content that we're doing. Also comments as well be nice. What to obviously potentially look at in future pods, and also make sure that you subscribe on other platforms as well, such as Spotify, Apple Tunes, and Apple Podcasts, and so on. So yeah, excellent. Well, Scott, thanks a lot.
Cheers for that, Baz. We waffled our way through it.
We did. We managed. We struggled, but we got there in the end. All right. Thanks, and bye for now.
You haven't stopped recording yet.
Yeah, because you recorded last time, so I don't know what to do.
You just got to press record. Brilliant, people still watching this.
Always comical between me and you, isn't there?
Have you got the record button? Press host to start. The host is recording, the card recorded.